to order. On Thursday, September 13th, Council on Aging Board of Directors meeting. Why don't we do a quick round of introductions? I'm J.D. Miller, I'm the board chair.
Linda Hayes, Director of the Scituate.
Elaine Shabari, liaison to Friends of Scituate Seniors.
Leslie James, board member.
Keaton Quill, board member.
Janice Desmond, board member. Karen Canfield, liaison on the Board of Selectmen.
Henry Ye, board member.
Holmes Bosky, board member.
Janice Lindblom, board member.
Lucille Sorrentino, board member.
Welcome, everyone. Everyone remembered their names. Very good. It's always a good start. Always a good
We're
start.
practicing.
Yeah.
I forgot Joan wasn't coming on.
I knew Joan. And we do have a guest. Did you want to introduce our guest or not?
You might hear her purring.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
My daughter Faye.
Good.
Gorgeous, really gorgeous.
Thank
I
you.
want one
Thank you.
What was the
for a
date?
little bit of time.
She was born on August 11th, so she's
One?
just a month old. Yeah.
August 11th, that's my first granddaughter's birthday.
Really? Yep, she was 11 days late,
Yeah.
and it was hot. Remember?
I think we do remember.
9 pounds, 9 ounces.
Whoa!
It's a little
Wow.
extra long.
Yeah, she had a little extra time to grow in there.
a month late.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Faye.
Yeah, her dad's coming to get her, so she'll.
Yeah, if
If
she
you don't mind.
wants to make her presence known, she'll let us know.
She will.
Yeah.
She had a good
home, she didn't leave.
Yeah.
Why don't we review, so Linda's passed along a separate
Yeah, the minutes.
minutes from last month, if anyone wants to take a quick look at that from our August meeting. Sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would.
That's your copy.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any comments, edits, corrections to our minutes? Is there a motion to accept our minutes from August? Yeah, August 9th. No? Second? Yeah. Okay, very good. I must say, reading the August minutes and then reading about Heritage Days, that feels like a long
A long
time.
time ago. I know.
Okay, so Linda, next report.
Okay, all right, well, welcome everybody to September. I always say, every September, I say, wake me when it's over, but it's gonna be over in no time. So, first in my report, I'm just recapping a little bit, to finally have a little more information for you in terms of the senior center project. We are moving forward. I met with the architect 3 times in August, which was great. Once included a walkthrough of gates. He was very concerned before going to the Public Building Commission that we kind of understood the challenges that he was facing, and also he was really looking, even at that point, for direction in trying to meet the request for the scope of the project, and it was just a really unwieldy scope. And knowing which to prioritize, not wanting to diminish the importance of the senior center while also trying to work in the other potential offices and recreation needs, and the preservation potentially or reuse of parts of the building. So I think he ended up doing a very good job trying to fit it all in and made a proposal to the Public Building Commission at the end of August. looking at 3 possible options, one of which actually had us in the A wing, but at that point, it was really just to try to show the committee that this was maybe something he was asked to do to see if it was a viable idea. And although he could put us in there, there was still extra space. It wasn't really conducive, it's not what we wanted. But it really didn't work. And it was expensive, extremely expensive, which was what he had to show. And at that point, they said, you know what, okay, forget that. That's not the direction we want to go. Could you come back and do options for the standalone senior center and or connected senior center to the gymnasium? Forget the A wing, and forget the B wing for that matter. So, so that's where he went. So then there was a meeting this past week where he presented 2 options, one with a very structured connection between the gymnasium wing, I guess we'll call it, because it's housing recreation, potentially a CTV, and or the veterans offices, and as well then another which had the senior center physically independent, and then the discussion was, well, the structured joining of the 2 buildings was more expensive and actually $1.5 million price tag for what would be sort of a median lobby, so to speak, on both levels. So, yep, you know, not worth that. And, you know, if that was the best approach because of other considerations, then, you know, then it would have been fine, and it was well designed, and it was nicely done. Even, you know, maybe you see a little redundancy, but anyway, the resources were all there. But for $1.5 million, the consensus was that wasn't really important. So the independent structure then, with, you know, further consideration needing to be given to the proximity for parking to be appropriately and best laid out, and also where then could maybe a more outdoor style connection be that would semi-connect or at least provide a little protected walkway, or even give the impression that there was some synergy. So it really could not be as physical as it's been discussed, but we'll see. And then also what kind of monies, the recommendation of course is to get that designed and done with the initial project, not later, because it's easy to say, well, we'll just build it and then we'll, you know, we'll think about that later, but really they want everything in there. But I think what was really nice about that presentation is he also laid out the cost of just the senior center. The cost of just the senior center, just building that senior center, 15,000 square feet, was only 7 and a little change million. So that's really nice. You know, the demolition was another amount, hefty. You know, the abatement's another amount, hefty. The recreation department is you know, a fair amount in and of itself. And there was one other consideration, upgrading the gym was separate.
What's the abatement?
The asbestos
Oh,
abatement and
yeah.
whatnot, that has to be done before they demolish, so it is a separate
Yeah.
No
consideration.
matter what, that's gotta be done.
We've got to introduce Jared.
Oh, no.
Hi, Dad.
Hey,
How you doing?
taking my kid, getting
Taking my kid.
She's gorgeous.
No heavy lifting, huh? That's
She was
good.
doing fine. She's doing fine.
Congratulations. Oh, it was early, we didn't get her for too long. Anyway, I think, you know, that's it in a nutshell, so that now the committee is kind of on target to meet every 2 weeks, and Joel, the architect, is on board because he really sees it making progress and wants to get this moving so that we stick with a timetable that he's really done very well outlining so that we can get to town meeting in April. So right now, it feels very doable and very optimistic about the possibility. So he's still coming back with options. I don't know if it's just going to be one finally for him. I mean, he's been working very hard. You know, 3 options one week, 3 options the next week, 3 options the next week. And he's done a lot of work for us. But happy. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, just a question. I know that people in the community have been really interested in maintaining the front facade. Is that?
Well, that was the question that sort of dictated a little bit of what he's just done. And because the B wing is really not usable, the preserving of the facade is not possible.
Okay.
but the
But a similar
recreating
look
of
and
the
feel
look and feel
What we can do.
of what's there historically, material-wise, that remains to be seen, but it is definitely a consideration for the architect.
I'm being really ignorant here. The B wing is the main entrance built,
The main
Yeah.
school entrance that's
and the A
elevated.
wing is
The jet to the left as you look.
recreation, and the C wing, we're not even talking about, that's gone.
No.
Okay, great.
The A wing that we've been discussing is actually beyond to the back by the tennis courts. It
Yep.
juts out to the tennis courts. But again, it really would have to be completely rehabbed for as much money as it would have taken to rebuild. Or more.
More.
Right. Okay, so that's that. So transportation here, back to the senior center. We have our new van. It's a 12-person van from GATRA. The 14-person went in for some service, and our driver was able to drive the new one back. So we will now, moving forward, we have 2 vans supplied by GATRA, one 12-person and one 14-person. We still have our 12-person Council on Aging van, purchased and owned by the COA in the town of Scituate. So that's great. We still have the 10-person white van. We haven't disposed of it. The fire department likes it. It's really just been sitting. It's used more during, emergency needs, but it is so far still nice to have it, so we have done nothing with that. I will mention that one of our drivers has consented to being the driver with our town-owned van for the West Cork Irish delegation coming in, not for the entire time, because it was a tall order, but for the 7 days they're here, there's a few days that are relatively mostly local, and the 12-person could accommodate, partly because their mayor is in a wheelchair, so is handicapped and needed that accessible vehicle. So we needed that anyway. We've had to find a service, which GATRA was very helpful in doing, expensive, but, so for most of the remaining days, that bigger vehicle will transport them various places, Boston, and we didn't want to do the airport pickups and drop-offs. That's just a whole other ball of wax, and it's in Rhode Island, and it's a lot of wear and tear, and it just wasn't really going to work. And we couldn't really use the GATRA vehicles for the transportation piece either. That's not within their contracts. So anyway, it's worked out. Jim Keeley has offered to do that. He's pretty excited about it. So 3 days plus a few other later night pickups to get them back to the inn, literally. But, so that's something. So we're down a driver and a van for a few days, but we're happy to do it, happy to be helpful. So as far as age-friendly, that was awesome. That was just a very quick preliminary meeting for those who were able to come, because Mark could come. And it may not have been the ideal time for everybody, but it was just a way for some to get a little more information about where we're trying to go with this and how exciting it
And how
could
to get
be
there.
with someone and how to get there. So a little bit of a roadmap from him. And as you can see, he's very interested, and of course it's his community too. And he had talked another time for one of our groups, gosh, probably 3 years ago now. And just he's easy on the ears. He just has so much to
Yep.
offer.
Oh, yeah.
So as far as our upcoming event, the walk goes, at least AARP will be present for the designation for the certification. So whether it's just our representative, whose name is Antron Watson, but I just have a feeling that Mike Festa might be there. I'm not sure, he didn't commit yet, but it's on his calendar. So I think I said that last time. I haven't heard otherwise. So, and just going into some of the programs that have gotten off this week, really, just the 50+ Job Seekers Networking Group. So it is back, it met this week at the library for the first time, restarting. So 8 weeks this fall into December, and then another 8 weeks in the winter to the spring. It was great, she had 8 people. Honestly, a few were returning and some were new. So marketing, of course, and really getting that word out to maybe our atypical population, is tricky. But it is getting out, so it's great. That's the one excellent. It's now supported by MCOA. It's a different facilitator, but Jenny is co-facilitating, so she's there for the entire 2 hours plus the networking half hour in the beginning. I'm just trying to help out with some technology in the beginning, but they'll be fine soon on that. We also had the art and craft sale on Saturday, August 25th, which really went well, and many thanks to Joanne Papandrea, who really did organize and work very hard to bring that together for both our artists and then some crafters and different people. The FOSS organization had a couple of tables, more than that, along with many volunteers for us. And we were given $760 as a result of that, from 10% proceeds from each of the tables that did sell some items, and also Joanne had a silent auction with some nice things and a raffle, and so we got the proceeds from that completely. And even some donations for the Kindness Rocks. It's pretty nice. Yeah. Which I wasn't doing. Somebody else said, "Are you kidding?" They just put out the basket and that was that, you know. So that was very nice. It was worthwhile. Other notable events, our lobster luncheon went off really well. Had some great entertainment. I think he had a good time and everybody enjoyed him. The lobsters were great. Our cafe talk by Dick Wainwright, the author, who is prolific, has done so many books. I didn't even know how many books he's written, and they are all wonderful. So, I mean, I bought 3. Everybody was doing that, and in fact, we're going to have one on display here. I should have had it out now, where we will sell. And up to this point, he's allowed the Historical Society to have take a little of that as a donation from the price of the book. But he's offered to do that for us now too, which was very nice. So, Christmas gifts, if you have any need for that. We had a few, I'll just mention, because we participated with that in the SEF Passport Days. So, you know, they advertised that themselves. We had put it, of course, in our newsletter. So we had 4 little tykes come. 2 came with their grandparents, and it was nice. One young woman brought her two kids, and she was very brave to do it. And Dick was great, because one of them was, we heard him. So, you know, it's something different, it's new, and we did have wonderful lighthouse cookies, which our volunteer Maureen Dinsmore made, and then they were able to decorate, so, and you should have seen us running around trying to keep this child happy. Yeah, I got something else, I know I have something else, but it was fun, it was fun. So, other new programs this month, or this fall, include the memory training for 4 weeks, which I started this week. The networking group, which is MCOA funded, the Nordic walking poles, you know, instruction, and then people are welcome to borrow these, but it's full. So Lisa's doing a couple of Tuesdays, meeting at the library and then walking with the poles. So again, those were funded through SEF. I am looking for some funding or a sponsor for the Aging Mastery Program, because we really have had that really up to this point, and now it's the first year we don't actually have extra funding. So I really do need that to go forward with ordering the program itself, and then we have the breakfast every week, so I'm hoping that I will get someone to do that. Corporate. Seniors Connect, that was an SEF grant, remember, for the iPad training, but now it's not funded this year, so you know what, it was not a problem. I have people signed up to do it, and they're just paying for the training portion of the class, which is great. The other 5 weeks will be scheduled with the Interact Club members from the high school. So then they'll do a weekly one-on-one, and we'll still continue with the monthly tech time. So whether that's a little bit integrated or not remains to be seen.
They're ready to go.
But I'm gonna do 6 people with the iPad program and not 12. Last time we doubled up, and that was tough to schedule. 6 is enough. So the Family Fun Walk, you know, that's ready to go, I would say, for the most part. We have T-shirts ordered. That was tricky, and I think they'll be nice, but if it's got the logo on the front and Council on Aging on the back, we went with I Love with a heart, age-friendly Scituate, and then I did put Family Fun Walk 2018 on 75 of the T-shirts, and then 50 will not have that on it, so that they'll be available for purchase ongoing if anyone would like those afterwards. So they were able to do that for us. So excited about that, and a very nice sponsor has offered to, remember, support the first 50, which are free for those signing up for the walk, and then we can purchase, or people can purchase the others for $10 at the walk or afterwards.
$10.
$10.
Wow.
You think that's steep?
Very cheap.
Oh, cheap.
Cheap, yeah.
Well,
A t-shirt for $10 with printing on it, yes.
okay. Well, I'm
That's
glad you think
wonderful.
so, wonderful. I mean, it's,
Let's sell them out.
you can order more,
You can always order
there's
more.
more where that came from.
So that's off the price.
Sell 'em out.
You can get,
Oh, we
so
can get
people can
more.
order sizes
Sure,
and
we
all that
like
sort
them,
of stuff.
I mean, they could evolve, it was our first time sort of designing a t-shirt,
Sure,
so I
yeah.
hope it's nice. But it's a great way to sort of start to get our branding out there and just, have some fun with it, so. There's some, I could use some help, anybody wants to volunteer for, the day before, that morning for table setup, and I could use help getting refreshments purchased, waters, fruit, we talked about granola bars, that sort of thing, or donations. I did order the Kona ice truck. It's gonna be fabulous. He does 90, basically, the new fashion snow cones. They're tropical, but he's very proud of his product. It's almost nutritious, because he uses stevia, percentage stevia instead of sugar, and he's very proud of it. And it's a flashy, fun-looking truck, which will be outside the Harbor Building from 12:30 to 1:30 as people come back from the walk. And otherwise, everything is inside. So that should be fun. The Navy Band, oh my gosh, the Navy Band. It's this close.
Still not a confident, yeah.
He did nicely enough call me yesterday, and I had already talked with Greg Assard. So it's wonderful. Greg's really taken a role with this too, because he really wanted the kids to have a chance to work with the musicians. So they're talking about that and going to do it. He just had to do one more detail as far as the event they're at before us, which is in Connecticut, and then coming here. So the date, unfortunately, will be Thursday, November 8th, which is when we are supposed to have a board meeting. So either we'll have to meet earlier, or, maybe earlier in the day, or the next week. We can talk about that next month. But that's, almost there, and I anticipate we'll need to print tickets and need to do some, fairly heavy marketing and information, which is easy enough with the schools involved to get to families, especially families with the band members. But also the veterans organizations and civic organizations around town, and hopefully get some good buy-in. So they're looking at hopefully doing a 6 p.m. show, which I think is a good time, not too early, not too late. Everybody agree? As opposed to 7, it may not make a lot of difference, but I think it's a better time. Okay. And please note, since Joan's not here, I added that she asked me.
Yes.
St.
Gave me
Luke's
this, yeah.
Community Dinner is on the 23rd as well, so the 23rd is a big day. Unfortunately, I noticed the library is also doing a function at the exact same time as our walk, but those things happen. There's also a motorcycle run, so that's not as much of a conflict. I did notice that the Magical Moon Foundation is doing a motorcycle ride, but that's okay.
Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess that's all from me, I believe, unless anybody has any questions. But move on to transportation, which you have a gift, honestly, a gift, our new transportation coordinator. So she is fabulous and really, fiscally, she's getting people on board. They are expected and asked to pay a small fee for the rides, but we don't catch everybody, but she's working on that. And our out-of-town rides, are much more expensive than what the amount is that we ask. So we're subsidizing a lot, but still, we want to get at least that much money in. So she's working on that. But we did serve 97 clients and 600 rides basically in the month of August, which is pretty good for the month. In keeping with most months, but most heavier months. Moving on to outreach, and Jenny Gervis, who is full-time as of this week, so she has now become our full-time outreach coordinator as of September 10th. So she has some ideas certainly for increasing a little bit of what she's able to do and literal outreach and getting out into the community. As I said, she is doing the bi-monthly Job Seekers Networking Group. I just thought that could be an opportunity, and if not, it's just a little bit different, and certainly a possible extension of our typical demographic that she might be working with. But I think it's nice for her. Otherwise, she is seeing people here at the office, still going to the housing authorities, still meeting oftentimes with resources that she can tell other clients about, or tell clients about. And still working with Laura and meeting with Laura on a fairly regular basis, and also doing that for Veterans Agent. So she is connected. I think clientele-wise, she met with 33, which actually is good for a month, and those are multiple interactions for the 33 clients across the span of the categories. And I think in well, probably all year round, a lot of it is food assistance, because really we're working on also becoming for SNAP, which is the Nutritional Assistance Program. You know, that's much more accessible, and she does sometimes have to bring that up with clients who she knows she can help with that. But there is now a program where we can become a member, so to speak, of SNAP and actually get some benefit returned to us, some monetary benefit returned to us for the number of clients that we work with. So she is now going to be working on doing that for us, which is great.
Okay.
Farmers market coupons, they're always successful. And fuel assistance
What is
is,
that we ask the vendors to donate coupons, or?
no, we get the SNAP coupons from Social Elder Services, actually.
Okay.
So it's a state-funded program, sort of akin to SNAP, really, I guess. But they can use those farmers market coupons, either here or some of the other local farmers markets. So it's a nice way to have some money to spend on nutritious food. I did actually end up picking up food from the Plymouth Food Bank because they had called, and normally every summer they deliver, once or twice even, all fresh produce. And they hadn't done that. I was surprised, and then someone called, she said, well, they lost some funding, so they had the food, but they couldn't deliver it. So I got it. But we did for a week have zucchini, like crazy zucchini, cucumbers, and summer squash, basically. That was appreciated,
Good,
it
yeah.
always is. And
Yeah.
actually, that's funny, because Maureen Dinsmore, again, volunteering, but she likes the kitchen. And she cooked zucchini bread, which we were able to use for a few different things. So we even did not give it all away, but used some of it to then make something else, which was good. So, and then activities. So, I mean, it's summer, things change in the summer, so in some respects, it might have seemed quieter in the senior center. Not as much participation in some of the talks and programs that are indoors, but exercise still. So you can tell by the numbers there, unduplicated. 85 people are still working out, and unduplicated, that's almost 200. But of course, as I've complained about before, it's mostly at the other building, so I don't always see those. Recreation pickleball was still strong all summer at the Gates Gymnasium, 3 times a week in fact. Now we have just started back at Jenkins, so it's a little bit of a transition. Someone mentioned to me last night, I went over, it was just a little bit hard to go from one to the other. You know, running all over town is not easy whenever it's done, or wherever it's done, or whomever is doing it, but Jenkins is a little bit more manageable. It's a smaller gym, even though you can still set up the 4 courts. The Gates gym is enormous, but they did appreciate having it without a doubt. But a lot of things are starting up again. We've had our writing groups back in. Bob Jackman is coming back in. Badminton is also starting again. It started last night, actually. I guess. And some of our volunteers are returning, so some have not been around for the summer and are coming back. But we've had good coverage and a lot of extra help, I think, for some of the events that we've done. The lobster luncheon, we had, gosh, an army of volunteers, which was wonderful. So everybody had their sort of assignment, somebody on chowder, somebody on corn, somebody on salads. It was great. So they did a good job. Everybody enjoyed that. We had 53 people come to the lobster luncheon. So
That's a lot of lobster.
yeah, and we fed the volunteers, and we fed the staff, and we fed the entertainers.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone have any questions for Linda? That was a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Well, we have Karen here from Board of Selectmen, so do you have anything to report out?
Just a couple things. The town meeting will be November 14th.
Mm-hmm.
The warrant has not been, finalized yet, but we can anticipate that we'll have a request for a plastic bag ban, which you may not have heard about, and some housekeeping things. We'll flesh those out in the next couple of weeks. CPC will also be coming for funding for the new Wampatuck playground. And also they need additional funding to finish the Roach Field parking lot. There were some issues, so those will be before us. And then I also have other news which I thought would be important for you guys to know, that we have received a resignation from Jennifer O'Keefe, our Director of Public Health. So that position will be posted for a replacement. So that will affect, obviously, this group as well. So we bid her up, but she's gone on to another position. We wish her well, but we'll miss her. And
Absolutely.
that's all I have.
That's a Wednesday for town meeting, is that a different day?
Oh, I mean, you know what, my calendar's over there.
No, I'm
It's-
pretty sure I know, I think Wednesday, November 14th, which is just a different night.
You want me to double check? I may,
I can check, but
I'll
I'm pretty
post
sure. it's
Veterans
good.
Day, Sunday, the
Yeah,
11th.
Veterans Day, the holiday is Monday.
it's the 11th,
so
maybe that's fine. It might be the 6th.
Right, so it would have been.
I can double check. I put my phone over there to charge.
You know, it's not even important, I just thought it was,
I don't think that's right, though. I think I have the date wrong. I think you're correct. It's usually the Tuesday.
yeah, but I think I thought to myself, no, you're right.
Yeah, that
It's a
sounds
Wednesday.
I am right? That's pretty good, because I did it from memory.
And it's Wednesday, yeah.
So it is Wednesday.
Yep, it is a Wednesday,
Okay.
which I just thought, no, that's unique, but that's good, because it's.
Yeah, it's probably because of the holiday.
So can I just back up? The Wampatuck Playground, what's that project?
So that, the playground that is right there along Tilden, the front playground,
Mhm.
is in extremely poor condition.
Mhm.
And it's been band-aided together for a while. So the PTO was very active and came and, found the right vendor, put it all together. The PTO is donating $30,000 towards it, $270,000. Well, it's $300,000 for the whole playground. 270, which is being requested for funding from CPC. It's sorely needed. It's not safe. It would, I'm afraid we would have to close it down without replacement. And it's a community asset as well, especially in that location, because it will be available to anybody when the school's not operating.
And just a little curious, just because I know sort of coming up in the near future, if not already, is
Yes.
relocating that
Mhm.
school potentially along with the other
Yes,
elementary schools.
CPC, I have to say, they do a phenomenal job of trying to vet these things out, and anyone who's been involved knows. And that was one of the questions they met with the superintendent. Wampatuck, nothing's final until it's final. But Wampatuck, where it's located, is so low on the list of probable closures because why would
because
you?
of-
A lot
because of
money
where
is
it's located.
sunk into
Because
Wampatuck
exactly, right.
Anyway, and I
Yeah.
think it was included in that study just
Oh,
to
yeah,
make.
they're on the
just
school
to-
committee.
Right, to cover all the bases, why look at only 2 of the elementary schools when you can look at a third? I mean, they have done a lot of repairs to Wampatuck over the years.
So if they were, I mean,
So
just
the
looking ahead
Wampatuck
of.
was included in the study that was presented to look at Cushing and Hadley, not as, long range of like closing or anything, but just to look at the building itself and see what's there that could be fixed.
See what needs to
Yeah.
be done. Right, but geographically,
It's a
Yeah.
good location.
It's
it
gonna
doesn't
sit,
yeah.
make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, that was a concern. Honestly, this is completely my view on it. Even if for some reason Wampatuck went away, it's still town land and that park, and that
The
playground can
could
service
stay.
that
There's
community.
people there all the time.
Yeah.
It could be a field or it
It's a
could be
great-
for the playground.
So, so watch for
Okay.
the warrant. There'll be obviously more things put on and stuff, but.
And will there be something necessarily about the brown water, question? I mean, is that going to, or is there
No,
nothing to be
not-
done officially?
There's been a lot of initiatives around
Well,
that though.
yeah, so, yes.
Okay.
It won't be this dramatic,
Yeah.
but there will be additional, there's the regular funding, which we were gonna ask for anyway,
Okay.
plus additional funding. I apologize, I don't have those numbers in front of me, but we always anticipated asking the town to support a rather significant investment in putting green sand filter on another well, which will remove manganese, which is the, one of the causes of the buildup. And that was always on, the timeline, so that will be there. We will look to accelerate funding for additional flushing to try to speed up the pace. If anybody's on my Selectmen website, Facebook page, I actually delineated the things that will be on the warrant. Some of which were already on the capital, and some of which, because of the recent conversation, will be accelerated. So all of those, and those it won't be like this, it'll be like an individual thing, just like anything else. Will you fund this, will you fund that, you know? Because that's just how we do these things.
If I send you a dick pic of our walk flyer, will you put that?
Oh, yeah,
on Facebook?
absolutely.
Okay.
Happy to.
I just have a question about the Wampatuck playground.
Yeah.
What is the Toll Brothers doing?
The total budget?
Brothers,
Toll
Toll Brothers, they're doing
Oh, the Toll
something.
Brothers.
So
Oh.
Wampatuck playground, sports field or something.
Yeah, so what they have committed to do is, so behind the Wampatuck playground, the Wampatuck school,
Yeah,
before you get to the Toll Brothers site, which is abuts right in the rear,
okay.
because they'll be doing earth moving and
Yeah.
everything, they're gonna come and clear a site that will be used for playing fields. That's not a playground, it'll be used for playing fields, so they will be doing that. I think they're putting, I have to double check this, I'm pretty sure they're putting a well in for irrigation, so they will put the infrastructure in place for proper field back there.
So that's totally separate from the.
That's totally separate.
Playground versus
Yeah. Yeah,
playing field.
playground is,
Yeah,
you
with
know,
something in the front
climbing
there.
equipment. And also of note, I forgot to mention, that playground design is fully accessible. So.
Yeah, there's gonna be a
um,
walkway,
yeah.
ADA compliant walkway from the school to the playground.
Right.
And more ADA compliant equipment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Very good. Anyone have any questions for Karen?
Yes.
So one of the, you were talking about is it gonna be discussion about banning the using
It'll
plastic?
be on the warrant.
On the warrant.
For the town to vote.
So it's
Yeah.
the town's rubbish, the blue plastic bag, is that part of it?
No. This is single-use bags, so like when you go to the grocery
You
store.
go to the grocery store,
I know,
Yeah.
but why wouldn't it?
Oh, those?
I always thought that was
That's a really good
such-
question. Yeah.
But
I
that's
don't know
such
if
a
it's
waste.
Better one.
Everybody uses their own, then they put in the blue bag, they throw
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at that definition, if you know what it is,
Right.
it's a single-use bag as precedent, and it's an actionable thing that people are supportive of, and even the businesses are like, yeah, it's about time, you know, so they're supportive of it, but I believe that it will be the beginning of a trend of things, so.
well, the blue bag that we use is a single use. And it's more isolated because nobody else knows except Scituate.
I don't know, maybe we need to figure out a way to do like a
Yeah,
paper
the-
bag or something. Or-
Right.
So,
Or either collect more money, you know, instead of $100, you go $150, you get rid of the bags. You know, instead of you charge.
You know why it hasn't been brought up, is because you have to think through all those things first.
I
It's
know,
a really
I
good
know.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, does it? First, we'll do one thing at a time, how about that?
Yes.
so the stores will be
Yeah,
giving
they-
out the plastic bags.
Yes, the
Correct.
Village Market won't have
Right.
plastic bags at the end
CVS.
at the end of the
CVS.
cash registers.
No, no.
So currently, you can go to the dump and transfer station and go to the dump. And there's a receptacle for like to recycle all the plastic bags.
Right.
Will that
No.
remain there?
No.
Because,
No.
well, let me
No.
ask you, because
I don't
what
think
about
they
like
took
food
it out.
shopping?
Changed,
For those people that go food shopping at like Shaw's, Stop and Shop,
Mhm.
they get those plastic bags.
Right now you have to put them in your
In your
blue
trash
bag,
bag.
that's crazy.
There's not.
The
it's
plastic.
not even-
No,
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it. No,
You're not
no
supposed to
recyclable.
put them in a
We don't
recycle.
Yeah, we need a tour. We need to take a tour of the.
Well, I haven't gone in a
trans-
long
yeah.
time.
So what
tough
other
choice.
facilities or something
They're
like?
technically recyclable, like, a lot of the,
There's really very few
There's-
facilities that can
Yeah.
effectively
Really?
do it. It's
Yeah.
just
Situate
makes you
doesn't
feel good, but it
recycle.
doesn't really.
No.
I mean, we
It's
used
so-
to.
it tells
can-
you how long I, the last
Within the
time.
last
So
year,
little
I think.
plastic
You
that
can-
it's such a problem that it doesn't make
Oh,
sense
no,
for us to
they never
recycle.
You
recycle.
can bring them to
Just
Stop
put
and
those-
Shop.
Right.
those
They
bags
have
in your
their
blue
own
bag and take
recycle.
Which what people have to, you know.
Right, that's what they'd have to do if we, or just drop it.
Yeah.
village
It's a
market.
tough transition. 'cause
Or go
Doug-
to Trader Joe's or Market Basket,
Good
and
change.
only paper.
So I've had to do
But
the
that
same
was,
thing.
and
That's
then,
right.
so one of the
Straws
things when
yesterday
this was
was terrible.
presented to the board is we said, go to the, go to the major businesses and who use these products and get feedback.
Yeah.
Because we don't wanna harm, obviously, a business. And they are all like, yeah, absolutely, because it's a cost to them. And it's really like anything else. There's, I think 82 communities in the Commonwealth have already adopted this. And, you forget your bag a few times and then you remember, and
Right.
it's a habit more than anything.
So are the stores then gonna provide, like, a marketplace will probably have the brown bags?
The poly brown bags, they
CVS?
think that the exception is for like meat and things like that, they can wrap meat in a, they use those little thin
Yeah.
ones. I think they'll be able to, I think that's carved out, because
Mhm.
that's just a health thing. And they'll also sell, a lot of them are looking as an
Sure.
opportunity from,
Yeah.
they'll
Gotta
sell
buy
you
that, gotta buy bags now.
the handle bags, which, they'll last 10 or 15 times. And that's better for them and it's better for the environment, so. They were all on, the committee that went out and talked to them were all like, so I was
Yeah.
actually surprised how supportive they all were. And there's a 6-month transition, so even, like Cohasset's already banned it, but when you go to Shaw's, you still get a plastic bag.
Right.
Yeah.
They're gonna use up what they have before they transition.
We did in Duxbury, it's been banned. We went even from single stream, that was easy,
Yeah,
to not, now we have to separate again, and they're not taking everything anymore. And the
Yeah.
plastic bags,
That's a whole
nothing, we
nother-
have to throw them
as I say,
away.
you do what you can, that's a whole
It's-
nother
yeah, it's-
conversation and,
Right, it's a big one.
I remember years ago when they went from the brown bags to the plastic
I know.
bags.
gonna say that, yeah. I know, it's like, what are we gonna wrap our books in?
Right! We have to buy book covers.
Now we just
All
do
about
away
the
with the book, we just
bags.
did away with the books.
Yeah, now it's all
I
online.
remember
That's
that,
true.
Yeah.
it was like, what are these?
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't use paper? Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Anyway,
Change.
Change,
Yeah.
more.
Well, an awful lot of them blow into the ocean, and that's not a good thing.
Right,
so-
right.
Very hazardous for our marine life.
Yeah, so that's, so eliminating them probably makes a lot of good sense. Linda's already mentioned it, Joan Powers isn't here, she just wanted me to mention again that the dinner on September 23rd at St. Luke's, so from 5 until 6, so I will mention that again. Elaine, Friends of Scituate.
Yes,
Seniors.
I was unfortunately unable to be here last month, but I did send something forward, so to let everybody know how wonderfully we had done with the Heritage Days. We also did very well with the craft fair, with our number of tables there. We raised over $585, and then gave back some to Council on Aging. So we're doing very well with that. The fashion show is this Saturday night. We are doing very well with the ticket sales, which
That's
initially at St. Mary's from 6 to 9. It's a catered dinner because of the permit issue that they have at St. Mary's right now. So it's stuffed shells and chicken, broccoli and ziti, salad and bread and dessert. So I'm sure that will be wonderful. But we did, the ticket sales, I said, have gone remarkably well. But we did get a little bump when it first was announced because we changed it from a noon to, or an afternoon to an evening event. And most seniors were not overly receptive to going out in the evening and driving in the evening, you know. So the Council on Aging has graciously allowed us to be able to use the van to transport seniors who want a ride from and to. And they have been calling, I believe, I know that we have the number of people that we said were calling to reserve the van and utilize that offer.
Good.
Which is good, because
Yeah.
we've had the offer before and we had nobody take advantage of it, which is really depressing, but there are a number of people using it. And I have spoken to a number of people recently who said, yeah, well, originally I was really upset about it, but I go to 4:30 Mass, I'm just gonna walk across the street. Okay, fine. So it just was a change type thing, and, you know, whether or not it's gonna continue as an evening event, we will wait and see. but the tickets are going well, so. So we're hoping for a really fun evening. We are continuing with, we have a gorgeous Newfoundland hooked rug that was donated to us by a relative of a member. That's worth like $1,400. So we've been selling raffle tickets for that all along. We'll have the final drawing on that at the end of our craft fair. But we'll have the rug there at the fashion show, and we're also going to be having the rug set up at the Village Market on the 22nd, Shaw's on the 29th, and Stop and Shop on the 6th of October. So it will be up there from 10 to 2, and we'll have people selling raffle tickets for that. And those raffle tickets are going well too, so we're hoping to raise a ton of money.
Good, very good. Linda, you just came back from printing.
Printed it.
So do you want to tell us what you printed? Or should we hand it over to Janice?
Oh, I printed the bylaws,
Yeah.
but when you're ready, sure.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so this is the bylaws.
So for anybody who doesn't know, we've been
Right.
working silently behind the scenes on drafting and improving the Scituate Council on Aging bylaws.
I don't need to go.
And you have your,
I just
you have your copy?
I don't, but I want to have a copy here for, because I'd like Karen to take them with her.
Yeah.
Because she was probably.
Oh, yeah, good, good.
Okay. And so she just left, so she's on it. But anyway, we've been working on these for a number of months. And I think we've gone through a few iterations. Everybody's reviewed them, provided comments, there've been, good updates. So I think that just the highlights of what we're changing from what has been around for probably 14 years is that we are proposing to add associate members. I'm trying to find what we're talking actually. So we're going to be adding non-voting associate board members. We're proposing adding up to 3 for anyone who's interested in board participation, and we've had some deaf people, I think, this year who's demonstrated interest and like to be, part of our board. So they'll be appointed formally as an associate member. They they're not a voting member. But they would be, kind of in the lineup, more or less, to understand the workings of the board, so that when there's a board position available, they would be likely, or, potentially somebody who would be recommended for a board member position. The other change that is, I think most notable here in the bylaws is we're going to have a nominating committee. And so this is something I wanted you to hear too.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We're just talking about some changes to our bylaws, and this year we're recommending adding associate members who will be non-voting members, and so just people who are interested in participating with the board, but haven't been appointed as a board member, but they would be spending time with the board, assisting in subcommittees and any activities of the board. And then, when there's a board position available, they'd probably be a likely candidate that we would recommend.
We feel like it might help succession.
Yeah, I think that's a
Plan.
great idea. There were a number of people that raised their hands
Last
and
year.
that we had to not turn, everyone's welcome, obviously, but, yeah.
The other, change here is, and I think this is what we need the Board of Selectmen to weigh in on and approve this, and I'm not sure if any other boards work in this manner. I kind of thought they did, where we would have a nominating committee appointed by the board chair to assist in filling vacancies for both the voting and non-voting members, so that we would make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen of who we think are people who have, so they would go through that nominating committee of Council on Aging.
Yeah, I can't think of another group that does it, but I think it's a really
I
good
didn't know if
idea.
the planning board did, I wasn't sure.
Planning board is elected, So
Oh,
it's a
okay.
separate, right now they're filling an associate position, which can be
It's an
recommended,
okay.
but normally it's an election.
Okay.
I
I mean,
think
I guess
it's a
for
great
me,
idea.
it seems like you have to spend an enormous amount of your time doing those interviews where, I mean, if we had associate members who had spent, you know, a year or two doing that role and we thought that they would be, if they showed interest in being a board member and we could recommend to the Board of Selectmen, to kind of slim down and use your.
I think that's a great idea because there's so many, you'll know the people, and I think it applies to any committee, that would have an interest and could be developed. I think it's a great, and I'd love to see it, you guys could pilot it.
Yeah.
Well, we think it would be helpful for us to do some of the vetting, and then,
Yes, and the recruiting.
then push that up to the Board of Selectmen for confirmation,
Yeah.
so.
Is the requirement when there's an opening that you have to make announcement, anybody can apply? Like the situation, Caitlin and I, we applied for this position.
Right, so
So it's open, you have to make it open.
typically it's done on a calendar, like most of the boards are on a calendar year in May, I think it's June 1st. is
So it's
when
a
they're
general
signed.
announcement and publicized.
It's a-
in-
Right.
And then
There's
all of the
openings here,
openings
here,
are
and here.
listed, and anyone's entitled to apply for any board, whether there's an opening or not.
Right.
These are, and people fill that out. In many cases, that, you guys are fortunate because you have a full complement. Some of the boards are not fully filled for whatever reason, those will remain open. So
Mhm.
if somebody saw that, there's an opening at the FCTV advisory board and it was open, they could anytime
Right, but
submit.
my
But
point is,
typically,
if we have associate members and we make a recommendation and other people that, why they are applying, they says, the chances for me to get in is very low because there was already 3 associate member applying the same thing.
Yeah.
For the same position. So I don't know what,
I think at that point, we need to, that's what a subcommittee needs to do some interviews and sit down with some people. Because we don't want to dissuade someone who may be totally qualified and totally interested, even though they're new.
Which is part of the
Well,
reason for
and
the
in
associate.
theory,
Right.
I mean, if an associate member gets bumped up to be a board member, then that opens up an associate spot.
Exactly.
So,
but the associate spot is not selected by the selectmen. It's not, right?
Well, that's what
well,
we're
that's one of the
trying
things you
do.
have to work out, the details, because it has, and that would have to come before the board to have that conversation is, does this all work to give everyone an equal
Equal,
opportunity
right.
kind of thing?
Right.
Well,
So,
or-
those are, that's why I say piloting something like that could be really useful in engaging more people in each of, in this
Mhm.
committee and then maybe others, so. That's, yeah.
I would think that everything before the Board of Selectmen these days,
Mhm.
thinning out some of that
Mhm.
work of vetting, some of the candidates would be helpful.
Right, and to your point, though, I could envision if, I would imagine the board wouldn't be bound by your recommendation.
Right,
Right.
you shouldn't.
We
Right.
shouldn't be,
Right.
Obviously it would have a lot of weight if somebody
Mhm,
had
mhm.
participated. One of the first things we ask somebody when they come in for the interviews is, have you attended meetings? Do you know how they operate? We ask about how engaged someone's been. And that obviously impacts the choices we make.
Mhm.
If somebody goes, no, I just read the description, it looked great. And then there's another person that has been to, 2 years worth of meetings, that decision is
Right.
obviously easier.
Mhm. Right.
Right. Is there a potential for the applications to be funneled through our nominating committee, this simultaneous to the Board of Selectmen review?
I think that's a conversation the board would have to have. It would be a change of procedure and I would defer to a conversation with the whole board and,
Mhm.
because there may be things I'm not thinking of right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's a great concept and a model. I would think it would, one of the hardest things is you put it out there every year, hey, who wants to participate in town government?
Right.
And most of the time, people get engaged because you're talking to someone of like mind and you say, we could use your help on the, whatever the committee is.
Right.
That's how people get engaged.
Right.
So I like the concept a lot, but I think it would need to be vetted out
Mhm.
through you guys, and then we would have to have this discussion as well.
Good.
Does anyone have any comments on the copies that we've just distributed? I know probably everyone's here has sort of looked at it already. Yeah, but I will come back and amend Janice's intro here. Those weren't just minor changes that we made. We basically created a whole new semi-professional set of bylaws
Very professional.
that replaced something that was almost non-existent. So she highlighted a couple of things earlier, but these are more expansive, comprehensive, detailed
Clear.
categories, yeah, that we pulled together. So, but that Janice has helped spearhead pulling together and did a lot of the work on it, so.
Well done.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
So, I mean, really our next step on bylaws is we're kind of handing it up, Karen, for you guys to take a look at.
Might be a more
I
formal.
think what would be really useful is if it would put, I mean, what we need to do is put it on the Board of Selectmen agenda and have it presented. And then it's a public conversation and, you know, if somebody wants to chime in, they can. I'd have to double check on whose authority it gets blessed. I honestly don't know that.
Neither do we. So
Well, I
that's
only
why-
know
Yeah.
from like the 99, the former bylaws that we've had available, it always just says approved by the BOS.
Yeah,
As of a
my
certain
guess
date.
is that we would have, you know, but this is a wonderful, but I think, you know, having a document like this makes everyone's job easier, clearer, and when people are interested, you can easily point to, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, right.
So that's, I think, a formality, but I would say just request getting on the agenda as soon as you're ready, walk us through it, have this conversation, and I will certainly, as a liaison to the board and tell them this is coming and to give some thought to some of these innovative ways of restructuring, because I think there's a lot of, what is it, flattery is the most sincere form of, or imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. This could be a good model for other committees to emulate.
Okay, well, thank you.
So you'll put
we
that
will
on?
keep on
Okay.
pushing forward. Yeah.
Just follow up with Lorraine, she'll find a slot.
Okay, and then at that point, we'd send a soft copy of this in advance for.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
need this, it's like 4 or 5 days ahead of time, and
Okay.
it goes in the packet, and we'll review it, and have a chat, and away you go.
Okay.
Pretty good.
I know you've touched on age-friendly initiative for the event,
Right,
but anything else on that?
in terms of the event.
T-shirt, cost, setup, we need help with. We've got vendors coming.
If there's any other, you know, sort of, any other
Were you
organizations,
gonna plan the
groups,
weather, make
teams.
sure the weather's
I
okay?
managed that, I know. But I think we could use more information out to people. So Mariner did a nice article a week or 2 weeks ago, actually.
Was it this
maybe
week, too?
3. And then it was doing the details of the walk this week, and that was.
Remember, you hadn't seen that, there it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
front page.
yeah, wow, that was, okay.
But it's a couple
Yeah,
weeks ago.
that's a couple weeks, and now today was something, and next week will be the one of the 5 events. But just the idea had been maybe there would be groups who exercise together, or, you know, or meet, or
Right, or team competition.
Families, just anybody you know.
The
fundraising type
signs
thing.
are good.
the lawn signs, yes. You know, I did a small number of those, but I think enough for some community awareness, and, you know, it wasn't necessarily to grab people all together, but yeah,
Almost
they
done.
do look nice.
Are they all up?
Are they all out?
All 10, I think, are out, yeah, all 10 are out. I did think maybe this week we'd move them around.
That's an idea.
It is not a bad idea, just because, you know, you can only get so many places, oh, I should have done that one. I did notify, again, by email, you know, I've had word back from Patrick O'Connor, Patrick Carney, I invited him as a candidate, and I didn't get to Joe Machino yet. So if anybody has some other contacts they might want to ask, we have, Mara's coming, Mara Curtin's coming to accept, the certification designation from AARP.
I'll probably stop by.
Okay, that's
My
wonderful.
husband ditched me.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
That's my
Well,
anniversary.
we'd love to have, yeah, so hopefully it's celebratory.
Good.
I may have other things. But as far as age-friendly goes, I mean, that's a kickoff, so I guess I didn't know, maybe I could put together I did start, just a small program, so people kind of know what they're hearing and listening to, and maybe it's a little bit more concrete in their hands, that this is happening and what it means, so we could put a little small definition together, and, I
Yeah.
agree on that. But someone should speak, so it could be all of us, could be any of us. I guess I would welcome people once they arrive, or once we start the program. I guess I would plan to do that, but I'm happy to toss it off to someone else who might also want to. Mark couldn't make it, because we did ask him first, believe me. That would have been really good. But I don't know if Caitlin, you wanna sort of think about that, and we can do it, you can
Well, we
feed
can
me,
also,
you can-
we're handing it over to AARP, so. they'll-
That too, yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
we can get Gus to there, he'll talk for an hour.
I know, I know. Yeah, we don't have that much.
They will take it.
No, I know, but he, yeah, I can,
They'll take it and run with it.
yeah, they have a little,
Yeah.
sort of thing that they do.
So that's what I'm expecting and hoping, but at least from us, just to generate excitement and enthusiasm and maybe the next, what we plan in the sort of near future, what we sort of plan to be doing. Not just meeting, but this is what we're hoping to go for, so. Any help, any ideas, any suggestions, that was great, in the next week and a half.
Okay.
I just want to mention the fact that we may have a few vendors there
Yes.
so that we can encourage people just to go over and take their literature. One of them said they might want to do a little stretching demonstration for those that are walking, which I thought was good. And another group couldn't make it, but they're sending a check in.
Thank you for reminding me, and Lucille did that, she talked to the PTs, who are mostly PTs
There
or
are five,
fitness
but
club.
there are five.
Yep.
Four said they'd probably make it.
So is
but
it Bay
if-
State Athletic or Bay State?
It would be the
physical therapy.
Bay State Athletic said they love the idea and they wanna maybe talk about stretching beforehand.
I'll put that in the program.
Peak said they couldn't make it, but they're sending a check.
That's good.
That helps.
Favorite participant.
No table, but a check, that's good.
Okay, and I said if they can't come, we would collect their literature and give it out, so.
And on that note too, the conservation department couldn't make it, but she has, I contacted the Conservation Commission, who will, I think, be there, but provide, they have materials on the hiking trails and the walking trails and
Yeah,
everything
hiking
that
trails,
Scituate takes care of and maintains, so I thought that was good. And Etrusco, actually, because I asked a few as well.
Sure.
But Etrusco will have things on hand, and I mean, that helps with accessibility, and that's good information.
Yeah.
And something that's sort of just to ride on that, the Commission on Disabilities last year did their first accessibility awareness fair at the Harbor Community Building, and they are doing it again, that's on November 3rd. So just so you know, we'll have a table there, Jenny will man it, and Laura's there, and last year she had GATRA, the GATRA trainer, there for information on transportation and social elder services and many other things as well. So just another one.
Right.
But if anyone thinks of, bless you, anyone else, that,
Will Foss have a table?
that's good, table, good. Absolutely.
Okay, we
Do
can,
that, I
we
didn't
can
think of that.
discuss that in the next week and a half.
Sure. I mean, in terms of putting out materials about the senior center, of course, that would be great.
Yeah, okay.
Or any of your events that you want to advertise coming up, absolutely. And recreation, I did ask, but they couldn't be there, so.
So wrap-up tickets.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Except I'm never gonna win now. It's just way too many being sold.
Well, so are there any immediate loose ends that you can think of?
Just time to get the, the food stuffs together, and
Do you have a sign-up sheet for
register.
helpers?
I could put that together, sign up sheet for
Yeah.
help.
Do you need people later in the day at all? I'm
No, we've
Not
gotta be-
available for like
we've gotta be out-
afternoon
We've
time.
gotta be out of the building.
Out of the building by 1:30.
Yeah.
Would you need somebody like from 12 to bond, or no?
Sure, if you, yeah, absolutely,
I can come and say hi and just be
absolutely,
present.
absolutely. I would imagine walkers will be, if they've walked, starting at 11:30, they'll be back anytime from 12
Yeah,
to 1
okay.
or 1:30. So absolutely, that would be great.
Now, where's the walk? It's going
From the Harbor Community Building, either to the Sand Hills sign, Rotary,
Mhm.
or the
Or on the
lighthouse
lighthouse,
and
okay.
back. Unfortunately, there is construction going on at the jetty at the lighthouse, and I haven't gone there to check out whether there is heavy equipment there yet.
They had plans to park it
Yeah,
off
it's online.
Yeah.
the general
Yeah,
area.
and on Sunday they'll be out there.
Yeah, they shouldn't be using it, yeah.
Oh, I know, will they be able to purchase, the
Hmm?
shirts right there? Do you need
Yes.
someone helping to sell?
We'll have, yeah, absolutely, at tables. So there'll be, if someone has pre-registered, then we'll have that name, and they will get a free T-shirt from one table, and then otherwise they can register and or buy a T-shirt at another table. That's kind of what I foresee, but sure, help with that in the beginning would be great. What else?
Shoot out your helpers list on an email.
I'll get my helpers list.
Okay.
Yeah, just let me know where you're going.
Oh, I've never set one up. I've gone on.
It's really intensified or something.
And you touched on the Navy concert, so
Mhm.
we're waiting.
Once we get the go-ahead, then maybe someone would like to do tickets and or have a particular organization they want to contact. So Legion contacts,
Mhm.
VFW contacts, school contacts. I guess that's how we sort of
When
approach
you,
it.
when you say tickets, we're not charging.
We're not charging,
But you
but
wanna have your,
that's, I think,
No,
That too.
with this schools are gonna give you, like if he has the students there,
mhm,
they're gonna eat up some seats
they
too.
will.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we will have to
And
talk about
parents.
that.
Yeah.
So-
And then I mentioned, so they'll have a bit of a clinic, some terminology he used, but they will not only have someone on, not only one-on-one time, but the musicians, the student musicians will have an opportunity to practice with the same type of instrument, and then they'll come back together and they'll practice the songs with the Navy Band professional musicians and the students. It's
Awesome.
really nice. Yeah, it's very great. So whether they'll do that early enough, or whether you can be in the audience for that, which would be nice, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll have to find out. I imagine so.
Okay.
So that's all I got, so. yeah.
Anybody else have any other items of business?
Back to the walk, would there be enough parking?
Well, we expect there's enough parking. There is parking there, and the parking lot is available completely
Right.
for cars. We can park some cars at the Barker Tavern because it's early enough, but only about 20. And so I sort of thought, actually, for any volunteers or staff, that I just figured,
Should
I
park the
didn't
other-
put that out to the public. I figured I'd just keep that, and I should have put that in.
Okay.
Um, So I think so. I mean, there's 50 spots, more or less. They're not easy, but should be enough.
Okay. Maybe we can spill over to,
We can't use the pier parking, we can't
Okay.
use that.
No.
At the
That's what I'm
marinas,
told.
are they,
Well, that's what I was told, is that that's not really available for public.
marinas are not, okay. What
well,
about the
that
country
that
club?
boat launch, the yacht club.
Yacht club, whatever, yeah, yacht club is what I meant, yes.
Unless
I don't know if they're open, they just, you know,
It's closed, I don't know.
Well, maybe there is more parking than meets the eye there, I
Yeah,
don't
if
know.
they're closed, then.
We can ask them,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Unless there's a wedding or something.
Right,
Right.
right.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we could ask. Can't hurt.
Anybody belong? Anybody?
no, but there might be a
Yeah.
shower.
Boat club or yacht club?
I would have yacht club, as long as there's not a wedding, but it should, it's early enough in the day anyway, it should be fine.
Hmm.
And I know the boat club's fairly casual. I don't know what the parking is like there, the first.
Yeah, I don't, because there's a public grant.
So I didn't think of that, and I didn't think, I thought maybe it was sufficient. Once we decided to go inside and leave the parking lot available, I figured it would be
Oh,
okay.
no, that's what, the next week is the West Court.
Yeah, well, they'll be around on the 23rd. Oh, but when will they be up the Scituate?
They're going
York,
Friday
though?
night to the Yukon, so that's fine. I'll let you know, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Anybody else have any other items?
Do a parking email.
Next meeting is October
11?
October 11th. Yep. Very good. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I think.
All right, thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Fine, I'm done.